Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a new video. Today's video isn't really horror related, but I thought that this movie deserved a video on my channel, and I thought that it was kind of dark and dramatic enough for it to fit in enough with my channel, even though it's not exactly a horror movie. But you guys got that right. I am going to be reviewing the new Batman film today. I just saw it this weekend. I was so excited. It was actually one of my most anticipated of the entire year of 2022. So the Batman is directed by Matt Reeves. It's starring Robert Pattinson, of course, and Zoe Kravitz. I think that's how you say her name. And we have also got Colin Farrell in this movie as well. A couple of other notable actors. There's actually just a lot of characters in this movie, and it's a little bit hard to keep up with everybody. So this is a movie where a lot is happening, a lot is going on, but it doesn't necessarily feel too much like an action movie, if that makes sense, because I love the Dark Knight trilogy. I need to rewatch those movies. I haven't seen them in a while. I know I absolutely loved them when I watched them, but they definitely feel a little bit more action-based. And the Batman is not quite an action movie. It's more of a dark drama, in my opinion, and we focus a lot more heavily on the dramatic elements and the emotional aspect. Bruce Wayne is very introverted, very moody, very emo, I guess you could say, and I actually love that for the Batman character because he's troubled. There's a lot going on behind his eyes. There's a lot just going on within his head, which makes sense for a character that is dressing up in a bat costume and of course saving people. But when you think about it, you'd have to be a little bit different in the head to do something like that, and I like how we play on that aspect in this new Batman film. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the movie, spoiler free, so it's going to be very general. I don't want to spoil anything for you guys who haven't seen it yet. If I do get to the point of wanting to talk about spoilers, I will warn you guys. I just wanted to reflect on a few things that I thought this movie did really well, and cinematography is one of the big ones. I thought this film was shot beautifully. There are so many shots that will stick in my head and are so atmospheric, so moody. The score is great, the music is great. I cannot complain about any of that. I was really impressed with a lot of things and the attention to detail that was paid during the filming of this movie. It's a long movie. It's about 3 hours long, or 2 hours 50 something minutes, so basically rounds up to 3 hours long. And at times you can feel it, not because it's boring, but just because it is kind of like a slow-paced movie at some parts. And I think any 3-hour movie you can kind of feel that a little bit. It's not quite as action-packed as some other superhero movies are, so it doesn't go by quite as quickly or intensely. Intensely is probably not the right word. I think it actually is very intense. It's very intense, kind of disturbing at times. Maybe on par with Joker, but not quite as disturbing as certain scenes in Joker, but there are quite a few disturbing scenes with our villain, the Riddler, in this movie. I think the Riddler was excellent. Very, very creepy, very on point, very realistic, I want to say, as well. The Penguin was interesting to be part of this movie as well, and the way that old movies were filmed, like the old Batman where Jack Nicholson played the Joker, and some of those older movies were very like caricature, very comic booky, and the new portrayal of superheroes is a little bit more realistic, especially in this movie. So the villains are not quite as characteristic as they might be in like the comics or some of the older movies, I guess you could say, but they really embody the spirit of the villains and the heroes, if that makes sense. Can we just talk about Catwoman for a second, because she was absolutely splendid in this. I absolutely love this version of Catwoman, and I like Anne Hathaway's Catwoman for a bit more of like a sleek take on the character, but I really like how this Catwoman does have a troubled past we get to know about, and her character development is very interesting in this story, and I think that her and Robert Pattinson have an amazing chemistry. Even in The Dark Knight, I remember Christian Bale and Anne Hathaway's chemistry was alright, but in this one, the chemistry between the two is great, and I love all of the dynamics of their relationship that we get to see, and how it develops throughout the film. That all being said, this isn't going to be the action-packed, exciting movie for everybody. If you're more into the Marvel-verse, I'm not quite sure how you'll feel about this one. I think it's really, really good, but it's definitely more of a dark, dramatic, emotional take on the Batman versus a very, like, crime action-packed movie, or even, I mean, it is very mafia and crime, like, I'll have to say that. It's very like crime movie-esque, but less action, if that makes sense, and more focus on some dreariness and some bleak emotions, I would say. A lot of focus on certain shots, as I mentioned, the cinematography. We even get a couple of cameos as well, which I won't spoil here, but I was very excited about the cameos that we got in the movie. I'm going to be going back to theaters to rewatch it. There's no way that I'm not going to rewatch it, so I'm very excited to see it again, but I definitely need a break because that was a lot to digest. However, it is a 3-hour movie and there are things that I missed, so I really want to go back and make sure I can fully understand the plot. I got kind of mixed up in some of the crime, mafia type stuff that was going on. There was a lot of story there, and I feel like it's hard to unpack all of that in just one sitting when you're focused more on what's going to happen. When you actually know what's going to happen and you go in for a second viewing, it's a lot easier to focus in on those things that you didn't quite catch or understand the first time around. I feel like that's one of those movies, or this is definitely one of those movies where that's necessary, but it is a little bit hard because it is such a long movie. I'm not saying it's going to be hard to sit through again, but it's so emotional. It really draws you in, if that makes sense, and you're stuck in that world. It's really kind of dreary world, almost like how it was portrayed in Joker, although Joker might be a little bit more disturbing since we're focusing just on the villain in that movie, if that makes sense. I want to keep my review on this short. I know this isn't a horror movie. I think this still belongs on my channel if I'm being honest, even though it is a little bit horror adjacent in certain parts, I would have to say. And the mood of the movie is definitely darker than a usual superhero film. I don't usually review superhero films on this channel, but as I said, I think it belongs. And so I don't think I'm going to go into spoilers since the movie just came out. And I still need to rewatch it, so I actually don't have a lot to talk about because there's so much more that I need to actually understand. I'm not sure I completely understood everything that happened, so I'm not going to go into spoilers, you guys, but I really recommend that you go see it if you haven't seen it yet. If you have seen it and you want to talk about it in the comments, make sure to mark spoilers in case anybody who hasn't seen the movie is watching this, because I wouldn't want the movie to get spoiled for anybody. So make sure you put a little, like, spoiler warning in all caps or something like that, or put a bunch of spaces before your comment just to make sure that people aren't going to have the movie spoiled for them, because really this is a beautiful movie. I want everybody to just experience it for themselves. And now that this movie is over, I've only got a couple more, I guess I do have quite a few that I'm excited about for the rest of the year. I am really looking forward to Nope and The Northman most of all. Next is coming out very soon, so I'm looking forward to that one as well. Did I say X or Next? I can't remember. Editing me is probably going to be annoyed, but I think I said X. Yeah, X is coming out. I actually didn't know about this one. I didn't know it was going to come out. I think when I looked into horror movies for 2022, I was very surprised that that one was going to come out. So I don't know. But The Northman I think I'm going to have to make a video about on this channel, even though it's non-horror. It's kind of horror adjacent from what the trailers make it seem like though, and so I think I can, you know, have room to fit some horror adjacent movies on this channel as well. If you guys are okay with that, as long as it's got like that dark drama feel to it, or some kind of element that's disturbing or creepy, then I can include it on the channel hopefully. But I do want to keep this channel mostly horror or horror related movies, so I don't want to start branching out too much and start reviewing, like, you know, stuff that has nothing to do with horror at all. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. This is still a new channel. I just don't have very many videos posted, but if you want to see more from me, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be reviewing all the new releases for the rest of 2022. And also some other movies too. I try to post weekly, sometimes it's every 2 weeks, it just depends on my schedule, but turn on notifications, like the video if you enjoy it. It helps the algorithm, it helps people find my channel, because again, I don't post super often and I'm kind of like relatively new as well, but I would love to grow the channel more. If it actually does well, then I would hopefully like stick to being able to post once a week. For now though, since it's still very new and I don't have a lot of time, I might have to skip a few uploads here and there when I get very busy. And this outro is getting a little bit too long, so thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this movie, if you saw it, or if you're planning to see it. You can also leave a comment down below about that, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching and stopping by my channel, visiting if you're new here, and I'll see you next time. Bye!